one of the key things about the way Hannah Arendt thought about things is that she had certain basic distinctions, basic conceptual formulations that oriented her thought. Not that she imposed them on reality, but they oriented her thought. So she was always paying attention to the way in which people talked about politics. Like, for example, she made a very clear distinction in her mind between, that Jerry and I often talk about, because it's a very hard distinction really to take in and see the significance of, that she made this distinction between power and violence. And for her, power was what came about when people got together to act in concert, to take something that they believed in and act in concert over it, and then they would generate power. Whereas violence was surely instrumental. You have weapons, you can use them, and so on. But she would see all the time in the way people talked about politics or the way people wrote about it in the newspaper, a false assumption that if you have the means of violence, you have power. But for her, if she would read about weapons buildups or huge defense budgets, and she would always take that as a sign. Any state that was obsessed with the acquisition, collection of arms, she would always take that as a sign that the state was losing power and expect that you were on the verge of a collapse.
Let me talk for a moment about the relationship between violence and power. Power is all against one. The extremes of power is all against one. Then no violence is necessary in order to overpower the one. Violence is the opposite. The extreme is one against all. The one guy who with his machine gun can keep everybody in a state of perfect obedience. Now there is no doubt that violence can always destroy power. If you have this minimum at least of people who are willing to execute your orders, then all violence can always reduce power to sheer impotence and so on. We have seen that many times. There are many examples for that. But what violence can never do is to generate power. That is, once violence has destroyed the power structure, then no new power structure springs up. So violence always can destroy power, but cannot generate power.